Yes. Regular business, yeah.
So one time English, one time Tibet?
English first.
All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will swiftly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Dewa dam dewe dong dam de nyodo lana me ba yong da ba zo be shang jo rinpo je to pai ja. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. This time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious kind Lama Vajradhara, the embodiment of the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, source of the 84,000 categories of the teaching and Lord of the Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Idams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Namge tadang yambe samjen damje jojo zongje tishin watan jeki gozon to yoten chule tam jeki moro jurpa chuje pumbo tongra jeju zashin june pabe gendu tam jeki ngada Chenjian zawa dan jubai jibe, bardan lama tamba namla gyabzun jiwo. Yedan jingoro ji lazo namla gyabzun jiwo. Sanje jomden de namla gyabzun jiwo. Tambe ju namla gyabzun jiwo. Gendu namla gyabzun jiwo. Pawon kandro jujon zungne zo Yeshi ki jandan denpa namla gyabzun jiwo. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Changchu Ningpo Jiji Bar Sanje Namla Gyabzun Ji Judan Changchu Zanpa Ye Solang Deshin Gyabzun
Jidar Munji Deshi Chanjo Tone Jibadang Chanjo Zembe La Bala Rinjin Bada Tijin Rola Pendando Chanjo Zembe Gijin Tijin Dona La Bala Rimba Jindo La
In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Songje Chudan Soki Chonan Lan Changchu Bardo Dani Gyatsuji Dagi Jizo Jimbe Zonangi Drola Benjir Songjin Drobai. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Refuge of all sentient beings without exception, divine subjugator of terrifying Marus, together with their hosts of demons, the one who understands all realities without exception exactly as they are, transcendent conqueror, together with your disciples, please come here to this place.
Bendra Samanza, Bendra Samanza, Bendra Samanza, Malus and Jen, Grinjing on your chin, to the Ponje Mizing Jumzilla, Muna Malus Jishin, Jen Jorbe, Jomden Gorche, Minde Jesus. Zagan Badan Pubedu Alogen Gandende Shabda Bardita So.
The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the four continents, and the sun and moon. As a Buddha field I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha field. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate.
Sashi Puja Jojen Medogan, Rira Lenjen Yinde Jambande, Sanje Shinda Megde Pawai, Drogunanda Jinde Jubai Sho, Chansawadan Jujin Shabatan, Yise Yeran Gorjin Zawai, Gewa Jumze Dage Jezaba Tamje Zobe Janju Chermo.
Page 11. Namo to the Lama of utterly pure appearance and existence. I offer the fundamental ground of appearance and existence. I supplicate you to thoroughly liberate the three realms. Please grant your blessings and overturn the depths of samsara. Sublime Master, wish-fulfilling jewel, crown ornament, the inexcusable, inexpressible mind of the victorious ones, the one endowed with the five wisdoms of omniscience, gracious one, the embodiment of love, precious protector of beings, I supplicate you from within the essence of mind. Please grant your blessings from within the innate nature. Please bless me that I may realize the Dharmakaya that is beyond intellect, this primordially unborn, completely pure mind. Transcendent conqueror, the one thus gone, foe destroyer of afflictive emotions, completely perfected Buddha, endowed with logic and virtue, the one gone to bliss, knower of the world, captain, tamer of beings, the unexcelled teachers of gods and men, I respectfully prostrate, completely touching my head to the stainless feet of the unequaled Shakya king. At the time of your birth, leader of two-legged beings, taking 7 steps on this great earth, you proclaimed, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, even then I prostrate. Possessing a body of complete purity, your sublime form is excellent. An ocean of primordial wisdom, you are like a golden mountain. The one whose renown is evident throughout the 3 worlds, protector of supreme attainment, to you I prostrate. To you who are endowed with the supreme marks, whose face is like an immaculate moon, to you, the one with the complexion like gold, I prostrate. A flawless one such as you among the 3 levels of existence is most exquisite. Unparalleled omniscient one, to you I prostrate. Supreme among humans, captain of those to be tamed, the one
Amje Dhamba Nyame Jaji Jabo Jaji Do Chuma Me Balango Rabda Do Gube Chanza Lo Kanze Gani Zo Ju Tanze Sajen De La Kumba Den Horene Anenji den den anjoji zon de zenke bai jula chanzalo Nanda gamai jodo zuzan wai yishi Janzo Zerje Lombondra Chakpan Jiten Somna Lange Wan Gombon Kyoni Chulai Chansalo Senjo Denba Jimin Dawe Shar Zendon Dawai Chulai Chansalo Junra Sipasam Nyame Chen Chulai Chansalo Menjon Dorwa Kaloi Junze Chen Kunjor Chinwa Junze Teshin She Wombo Nyeshi Shelanke Nyenyo Shubha Tala Chanzalo Wombo Tuje Jedamba Tamche Jemba Domba Bo Sonai Yoden Janzu Ji Shilai Chanzalo Nabendo Jai Tarwe Ge Son Le Joishin Kido Todan Chojurwa Shijur Chulai Chanzalo Chorle Chorle Lamyan Dan La Batala Rabduk Shingi Tamba Yonten Shin Gendu Layan Chanzalo.
Page 15. I prostrate to the youthful Manjushri, to those in the worlds of the 10 directions, however many there are, all the lions among humans who appear during the 3 times. To all of them without exception, I pay homage with respectful body, speech, and mind. The force of my aspiration prayer for excellent conduct brings all the victorious ones directly to mind. Bowing down with bodies as numerous as atoms in the realms, I prostrate to all the victorious ones. In a single atom there are Buddhas as numerous as atoms, each residing in the midst of their sons and daughters. Like that, I imagine the whole Dharmadhatu completely filled with victorious ones. To those with oceans of inexhaustible, praiseworthy qualities, with sounds containing oceans of tones of melodic speech, I express the qualities of all the victorious ones. I praise all the Sagatas, with the finest flowers, the finest garlands, music, ointment, supreme parasols, supreme lamps, and the finest incense. I make offerings to the victorious ones. With the finest cloths, supreme scents, and fine powders equal to Mount Meru, all displayed in supreme and magnificent ways, I make offerings to those victorious ones. With vast and unsurpassable offerings, I venerate all the victorious ones. Through the power of faith and excellent conduct, I prostrate and offer to the victorious. Whatever negative actions I have performed with body, speech, and also mind, overpowered by desire, aggression, and stupidity, I confess each and every one of them. I rejoice in everyone's merit, the victorious ones of the 10 directions, the bodhisattvas, the pratika Buddhas, those in training, those beyond training, and all beings. I request the protectors, the lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who passing through the stages of awakening, attain Buddhahood beyond attachment, to turn the unsurpassable Dharma wheel. I supplicate with my palms joined together those who intend to demonstrate nirvana, to remain for kalpas as numerous as atoms in the realms, for the welfare and happiness of all beings. I dedicate whatever slight virtue is accumulated through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and supplicating to enlightenment. Page 14.
Shini Sodai Chojin Jikana Tuzum Jibai Meye Sen Dagi Malu Dada Tamji Lalu Tang Aye Tangwe Chaji Sombo Jube Molam Topda Jawa Tamji Yiji Ngoson Shingi Durni Lura Dubai Jawa Gunla Rabdoi Chansal Turje Dana Durni Sanji Na Sanji Ziji Vuna Shubha Tadai Juji Yana Malu Batamji Jawa Tage Kanwaram Tadang Abai Meze Janso Na Yangji Yanlai Janso Dragun Jawa Genji Yoden Raju Jen Dewa Shiba Tamji Dagi Meto Tamba Jingwa Tamba Dan Zinye Namda Shuba Tongjo Mame Jodan Dobo Tamba Ye Jawa Tada Lane Jubai Naza Tamba Namdan Chenjo Dan Chime Parmar Rai Nyamba Goba Jebara Babin Jogun Ji Jawa Tada Layan Jubai Chuba Kana Lame Jajewa Tada Jarwa Tamje Layan Somboy Jola Tebe Dobda Ki Jarwa Gunla Chansaran Chubai Shedon Temo Wangi Ludan Adan Tijin Yiji Jirba Dagi Jiba Jinji Wadada Tamji Dagi Sosur Chuchu Jarwa Gundan Sanje Zeranja Namda Lobdan Melo Drawa Gunji Zanam Kama Yandada Gunji Jisu Dayi Konan Chuchu Jiten Drama Da Janju Rambara Sanje Macha Gombo Dada Dagi Tamji Lan Kolo Lana Mebar Kurwag Nyangen Dadon Kongye Tada Lan Roa Kunla Penshin Devi Kawai Jingi Durni Shuba Yang Dagi Tamora Vya Zorwaraji Chan Sarva Tan Chujin Japa Tan Jisu Yiran Kurshin Zorwayi Yewa Junze Dagi Jisaba Tamji Zobe Janju Jengo.
Page 16. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of two vehicles and their combination according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Samjen Namji Samba Tang Loyi
Chedra Chitawa
Chejun Temon Tebaye Chujin Kolo Gordo Zor Wende Zomzang Jedan Jejin Or Dong Jingor Jamso Chabda Garin Some Du Jedan Yinkam Song Juji Jarbo Shab Jibin Mo Trema Mebal Gurab de Gosum Guba Jimbo Gone Jan Sarshin Jabson Jeo Jewane Zerab Jen Chunwa Tam Jedu Tokza Jimbo Gone Jesu Jushin Jela Branzato Zor Konge Charson Dave Mengon Gasaran Ben Don Rashin Tembe Zevo Zandro Zarvin Rogun Mege de Tukjin Dama Gune Jurin Jitin Somjin Kong Chabeton Bema Garbo Deren Dalo Benzo Jon Urjan Solen Beme Damboze Jarvin Amro Ranjun Lenjit Senzo Be Yoden Zomba Bema June Dalo Benzo Jon Shini Tangu Jin Sik Bin Jen Zin Kora Gongshin Rokun Tsamo Membasan De Lo Rukun Denyan Go dong Yeshi Driba Me Gang Chun Galan Ziba Gang Jambara Shana Gune Gave Dugi Jo Yin Robe Ma Garwan Zumbi Sha Le Zong Wazar Donge Chawat Nyingi Muzar Lo Drun Jo Azur Yang Jing Age Barmo Da Yi Jo Gang Rudu Garan Jin Yung Bungo Yoden Kun Jung Gave Jizarat Ningbo Dongse Bebe Nanjurva Chame Wazar Shaje Da Yi Jong Shia Gunsen Dola Jize De Chame Wazar Yang Chor Tu Teren Salon Jenam Ke Nanjurva Jime Ling Be Shala Son De Jadra Jare Se Bo Shivala Nanda Chobe Wanju Yawar Zong Pancho Dunga Rang Jimmy Jiji Wambo Gujanza Ridong Jember Shun Shalale Gombe Longle Bombe Dirjit Long To Junze Jansung Adanjo Mebam Jamyang Nam Jala Gujanza Yoden Sanje Gun Danyam Nayang Gari Sanje Gun Le Lap Save Lama de la Sarvande, Dason Drovilo Nai July. Okay, I don't remember where we stop exactly. Verse 4. You read verse 4 and you did not comment on page 13, is that true? Oh, okay. Okay, we are still always, we talk about when we start teaching or practice or any Dharma activities, the motivation is the most important part, and it's called VAS, the VAS motivation of mind or mental motivation, is called bodhicitta often. And that the whole purpose of our chanting or these practices about that, so we can see the generating bodhicitta through four immeasurables that's often we use. If I don't want to go through detail because we already chant our daily chanting here. It includes everything. And then we have second motivation, which is called the Greek method of secret Vajrayana practice, which is, you can see the all phenomena as pure as it is, we need to think about or look at or know. And so particularly this chanting, we have Namo, Nangsi Nam Dachi Lama. That's what we chanting. You can see here. Namo to the Lama of utterly pure appearances and existence that I mentioned before, and you already know, but sometimes repetition is important. It's boring, but it's very important in a Buddhist practice. So these two motivations keep in mind, and then we can start with our text. Of course, then our text is also involving with subjects of these motivations, or we call subjects that nothing but bodhicitta and pure vision. That is the main message in these texts. If you have text, that's good. If you don't, and maybe also very good. Copied. Oh, okay. Maybe sometimes you have this copy is better. Today we don't have translator, and my English, is what we call broken English, of course. If you understand my English, that's wonderful. If you don't, then let me know. Someone can help us to clarify what that means. If you, it would be good to look at the text when we read. If not, it's a little bit difficult to see what I'm talking about. So this text has 13 chapters.
Page 13.
13 chapters.
Page 13.
It often goes through the sort of structure or layout. The text itself is general, our Buddhist teachings that either we call ground, path, and fruit of fruition, and that the ground is what it is, and then path is sort of taking that need to know or understand or realize the ground it is, and then the final fruition is knowing what it is. So it's not particularly the Dzogchen teachings. We are not talking about these three are separate things. The ground is sort of our mind nature, which is nature of everything. And then the path is we trying to habituate or experience or realizing that's true nature. And once we fully understand or realize that, we call the fruit. And these texts until chapter 1 to chapter 9 is talk about ground. Now we know ground, what ground means. Ground means describing the nature of phenomena or nature of our mind. And sometimes we call view. View means the ground is describing the reality. A view means how we understand, how we can, individuals, we can, would have different understanding on or about the ground. So we need to understand what really it is. And then chapter 10 is meditation, or the path that we will talk about, but we are going slow because we have time, or we don't have time, we don't know, but we are quite slow here. We are not rushing, at least. And then chapter 11 is conduct. You know, conduct is sometimes we talk about view, meditation, conduct, and result means the conduct is enhancing or enhancer of our meditative experience that need to enhance through our conduct. So conduct is very important. Conduct means your attitude toward anything. Thank you. Is this not clear, not loud enough? Okay. And then chapter 12 and 13 are the results. So we will be there if you have patience enough to go through this slowly. Okay, I think kind of finished first chapter, which is talks about the ground or the Dharmadhatu. Here I use a Sanskrit term because it's English is a little bit not exactly maybe represent what we want to talk about, and especially this title is basic space. That is the Dharma, means Dharmadhatu. If you can relate or you know when say basic space, that is Dharmadhatu, then if you know what Dharmadhatu is, then it's no problem. But sometimes the terms are matter, and we try to use different terms to look at different angles and so forth. That's maybe useful to us. And Tibetan we call yin. Yin is sometimes people translate in English expanse. Maybe that is not a really bad translation, but depend on you how you treat this reality or nature of your mind. That is either called expanse or Dharmadhatu or basic space, or then we need to add basic space or phenomena, I guess, that whatever you are comfortable with. And then now we are in chapter 2. Chapter 2, of course, also talks about the what is reality. Yeah? And the chapter 1 is mainly the title is the adornment of basic space, means the adornment of Dharmadhatu. So Dharmadhatu is the samsara and the nirvana by nature do not stray from the Dharmadhatu. Means samsara or nirvana are not really two separate things. It's one thing, or the union of these two. When we say samsara and nirvana are not separate two things, means their nature is both rooted in the Dharmadhatu. And then chapter 2 is awakened mind as a pure realm. That awakened mind, or if you are familiar with the Buddhist term, that bodhicitta is often used in the Sanskrit, and Tibetan we use Changchup Sem. Either way, that here translate as awakening mind. And awakening mind is now sort of we are familiar with. Maybe there's other terms for use. What do you have anything bodhicitta in English? Enlightened mind. Why not? Yeah. Anyway, that's sort of the core message here in this text. The bodhicitta is not what we normally talk about in Bodhicharya avatars and or the other texts we talk about this relative bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta, and the aspiration bodhicitta and engaging bodhicitta and so forth. There's many bodhicittas, but here's more about, it's more ultimate bodhicitta, but and also talks about the nature of our mind, which is already a waking mind. It's not what we are generating bodhicitta, which is towards sentient beings that you want to, for the sake of all sentient beings, I want to attain enlightenment. That is bodhicitta. Bodhicitta has these two aspects. Yeah, one, you want to liberate, remove sufferings of other beings, and you also want to attain enlightenment or awakened state or Buddha for that purpose. So these have to have these two aspects in a bodhicitta. And these bodhicitta, we say, awakening mind as a pure realm. That's so we are in the realm of a waking mind. Either we think our individual mind as a individually, or the whole universe is there is only one nature, that is a waking mind. Either way, we are in this realm. And then sometimes we talk about in a Dzogchen text that when we realize or attain enlightenment or awakened state, then we call meeting child and mother. The child is our individual self, and the mother is the actual reality that we call Dharmadhatu, or awakening mind, or Buddha, or Rigpa. And we can use many terms that referring to the reality. And these chapter, the universe of appearances and possibilities arising as pure realm. So we saw that in our chanting, that to the Lama of utterly pure appearances and existence, here is that is using as different language in English. Here used as possibilities, but our chanting use as existence, appearances as sin. So here arising these appearances means what we see, what we hear, what we think about, and possibility or existence means everything is not exactly copy of something else. It can be many ways to can appear. That's possibility of existence referring to. So here, the universe of appearances and possibilities arising as pure. When we think about, we often hear talks about the sutras and others. Of course, we say samsara is a very bad place, and samsara is like a fire pit, or for samsara is the poison, and so forth. We have that kind of notion or attitude towards everything is sort of bad things, but here is a little bit kind of not twisting, but it's more changing our perception's direction. That we needed to now our attitude toward things that the positive rather than the negative. That is the main purpose of tantric practice also involved, because anything that the tantric practice itself is trying to redirect our perception and our judgment, how we can change things toward not only our human friends, neighbors, and but also animals, and not only animals, but more beyond sort of environment and so forth. So that is powerful and also useful, even you don't believe next life or going to a pure realm, but it's also even this life, the positive attitude or positive treatment of the others is also, I think, is very useful thinking. And so sometimes these texts seems like a repetition. You may bore, but be patient, and patient is the most powerful, useful practice in the Buddhist teachings. Yeah, the 6 parameters. Patient is the most powerful practice, and boring is the most delightful things in our Buddhist practice. And if you want to find some excited or wonderful things, maybe then it's a little bit difficult, but we see. Up to you, yeah? Okay. I'm not sure I should read Tibetan or not. Okay. Okay. Tong ta me chuni de ni cham dang kan yang ta be rong yin. Tong ta me de nga chi yo le de jian ga me de ngo pon zhen ma rong me de xin cong tong cha. So here we mainly whatever terms, languages, and these poetic languages use is often we can think about, is talking about our mind nature. We don't need to talk about distant reality that sometimes we think Dharmadhatu is somehow unreachable or domain that we will never access. But Dharmadhatu is inside ourself, or we are in the Dharmadhatu. We cannot run out of Dharmadhatu. That's the main message. And do we read together in English or for page 13, bottom, the last paragraph, or what your verse? Sometimes we could use verse, but sometimes paragraph.
Starts with this state. Oh, the true nature. Okay. The true nature of phenomena, suchness, has no beginning, middle, or end. The state of infinite evenness, equal to space and pure by nature, has no beginning or end. It is beyond any time frame. It is unborn, unceasing, and has no substance or characteristics. It neither comes nor goes and cannot be characterized as something.
Mm-hmm. And here, if you are sort of new and for any teaching in the Buddhist, or new, particularly these texts, traditionally there is some restrictions and so forth. But nowadays, it's impossible to check. And in front of here, we have people most of you I know, and beyond this, the online, and I see some people I know, and then the rest I don't know, I don't see. So it's a little bit difficult to check when I say or I teach. I'm not saying you understand correctly or not. There's maybe no correct way of understanding because my teaching is maybe not correct either. So, however, the communication is important to at least knowing what I'm saying is very important. And there is a joke. Can I tell you?
Sure.
Okay. If they say, if two persons are communicating and neither of them understand what they are talking about, it means philosophy. So don't worry if you don't understand not what I'm talking about, even what you are talking about. That's we are in a philosophy, and this is a Dzogchen philosophy. So, but somehow we need to at least isolate a few terms that referring to something or maybe nothing, but that term is matter in order to understand some concept. Here I say concept, but some beyond, maybe beyond concept. But anyway, that idea is the teaching is all wanted to message that goes with our ability to grab the meaning is through the language and the terms. So the language is very important. And now, generally Buddhist teachings, we have ultimate reality and conventional truth. So it's a little bit easy to understand what is conventional, what is ultimate truth. So we say in reality is Dharmadhatu, that is beyond our intellect, and conventional or relative truth is what we see and what we can interact with. But here, sometimes these distinctions are blurry in these teachings because these arbitrary separation or divisions are also not necessary. Either you understand or not. That's the important, not the divisions are important. And then the true nature of phenomena, which is suchness, suchness means the reality, has no beginning, middle, end. These terms, something in order to have exist or abide or even appear, we should have beginning, middle, and end. So these are Nagarjuna's the main philosophy that we talk about, the Madhyamaka Karika is called interdependent origination or dependent origination, which means once we have beginning, then we can say there would have middle and there would have the end. So once we don't have beginning, then middle ends are not occur. Similarly, the state of infinite evenness, that evenness means there is better nirvana or worse samsaric things, but everything's equal. Yeah? Equal to space and pure by nature, has no beginning or end. It's beyond any time frame. When we talk about time, then time is relative, so it's also arbitrary in the sense of the Dzogchen teaching. The time itself is a projection of our mental projection rather than time exists out there. Once we don't have time, then of course, birth, death, sickness, aging cannot occur. Everything rely on or based on the time. It's unborn, unceasing, and has no substance or characteristics. Either we say it means it goes to Dharmadhatu or the awakened mind, the bodhicitta, or Rigpa. Those are unborn. Unborn means there's no cause and condition involved in this reality. And then sometimes when we say unborn, then we often think permanent. But when we say permanent, permanent itself is our concept that based on impermanent, we talk about permanent, that these two are rely on each other. So if there's no impermanent, then there would not have a permanent either. So this is the logic of Nagarjuna's teaching, the light and darkness, and high and low, and far and close, and so forth. These are interdependent. They are related. And the neither come nor goes cannot be characterized as something. So earlier we say unborn. The birth is, we take very seriously and almost cherish tremendously, because we rely on birth. Birth means production. If we think about, we rely on things, we fields or even growing trees, grass, and we think about birds, fish, and all animals. And then humans, of course, birth is very important. So generation to generation, continue, keep going, is based on birth. You can see a few countries now have a birth rate is very low, and all cities need to abandon somehow. So that birth is important. That's why its target is unborn. So we think birth is important. That's why target is there's no birth. And similarly, coming and going are same thing. We wish some good things come, yeah, always. But it doesn't happen, then what happened is would have suffer. But here, that kind of what we wish to happen to us, good things, is also our projection or our creation. So mainly it's saying these things, birth and coming and going, are we rely on. Once we get rid of this concept, then we don't need to rely on things that are unreliable. So that's the main teaching of Buddha. In the samsara, we cannot rely on anything. Our body now, I'm going direction to negative, but so sometimes boring and negative is a good thing in our tradition. Yeah.
Peace to news.
We were born and then age and sick and die. So that's our whole story summarized, that we cannot stop that. So that in order to stop that, then somehow we need to try to see there's no birth, there's no death, there's no coming and going. I'm not going to next life, or there is no next life, maybe. So that is the message. These language or terms are often used in the Madhyamaka. Madhyamaka means the middle way. Middle way means you are not lopsidedly relying on either existence or non-existence. You will stay in the middle to don't want to rely on anything. And those languages are important, and behind why we saying unborn and not coming and going, these are important because we think these are important. Once we don't have those, then we are much freer than wishful thinkings that become such things and want to have some wonderful things happen to us. And now we have another verse. Maybe it's these two words are together, maybe not. 左心者灭下为求解当穷他文灭提起你这些明灭君解灭真言别 Only 3 lines, I think, the first page 15.
Yeah, top of 15. It involves no effort or achievement or anything needing to be done. The ground of suchness itself has no periphery or center. It is non-referential or uninterrupted. It is the expanse of equalness.
Mm-hmm. So often used as ground, in of course, in a Dzogchen text. The ground, it's the term ground, of course, in English, sometimes they use base or foundation, but more often used as a ground. Whatever way you think, you use the term, it's fine. And in Tibetan, we have term Xi. So Xi is either with the ground or base or the foundation. So why it's called ground or foundation or basis? So here is treating with earlier we are talking about these three things: the ground, path, and fruit. So the Buddhist, the first layout of what it is, and then meditate path, what you need to do, and if you've done everything correctly and done completely, then you will, the result will yield, or you will be attained the result. That is the ground. And the Dzogchen ground is the Dzogchen, the Greek perfection in English. Dzogchen ground means the ground that spring out, samsara and nirvana both spring out of this fundamental ground, if we say fundamental, or the actual ground. So ground, the concept of ground is a little bit more source rather than just the reality. It's of course reality, but it's also activities taken in the ground to rise either samsara and nirvana. When we say samsara and nirvana in English, sometimes maybe people are not familiar with the Buddhist terms. Samsara, nirvana just means positive and negative appearances appear from this source. If we think about how this can happen, that's the most challenged things to think about. So maybe sometimes better to not think about. But we humans, creature that want to make meaning, thinking, logic, and so forth. So make ourselves as comfortable with these terms and concepts, then we somehow the phenomena appears. Phenomena means anything that appears to us, what we can hear, what can we see, what can we smell, taste, and touch. These are, until we a certain stage of realization, we cannot just avoid this. This will happen. And this happening not individual autonomy things that happening, it always have cause and condition, rely on something. And we think more about what really the cause of it or cause of them, then it goes mainly, there's not really cause, but the cause is, when we say cause, it's really, it's natural expression, we call Dzogchen. It's not really the karmic li or cause and condition that connect to each other. It's more natural expression. It's maybe that's also another difficult concept, but anyway, the Dharmadhatu, or ultimate reality, means the nature of phenomena. The nature of phenomena is unborn, unceasing, without coming and going. So that is the reality. Even reality is that, but then phenomena appear to us. Appearing to us is like a dream, yeah? That's often in Buddhist teachings talk about. And keep that in our mind that things doesn't necessarily need autonomy or individual cause and conditions to arise, but things arise naturally, but we think it has cause and the conditions and so forth. It involves no effort or achievement or anything needing to be done. So now it's talking about once, if you are familiar with Buddha nature doctrines or teachings, then Buddhahood is already in our mental stream or our system. And you don't need to remove something to make better or remove something from that. Negative things you can remove and positive things you can add. You cannot add anything, you can remove anything. It's Buddha nature is what it is rather than you are creating it. Here is the same thing, that's nothing to be done. The ground of suchness itself has no periphery or center. So the periphery and the center is often used mandala. When we use tantric practice, we often call mandala. Mandala means that there is a center and there's periphery. So anything that we talk about, there would have some sort of reference point, that center and periphery. So this reality has no center and no periphery. So center and periphery, these are also rely on each other. Without the center, would not have periphery. Without periphery, there would not have center. So these texts mainly wanted trying to, I would say, destroy, or what better word to use, destroy our rigid idea or concept that make us who we are. But once we lost that identity, then it's of course it's difficult. But that's the purpose of this teaching. Since it is no referential and uninterrupted, it is the expense of equality. The equality comes this nature as same as samsaric nature, as same as nirvanic nature as same as samsaric nature. So I mention again and again, but it's talking about our mind nature. There is no other nature in this world. And then we can have another verse. Tamche chu ni nyambe rongi be nyambe lona mene je jame junya gunya shongjo samje ngam ma jinga nyam yam bara chamda nyam ni ngong la junji me be jer.
Since the true nature of all phenomena is equalness, there is not a single thing that does not abide within the expanse of that equalness. The scope of awakened mind is a single state of evenness in which everything is equal. Since it is unborn, an infinite evenness so vast that it is equal to space, the scope of equalness is without interruption.
You can see there's sort of a lot of repetitions, but it's remind us or looking at different angles to introduce us. Sometimes we think, oh, there is no coming and going. Maybe there's a production, or sometimes we think there is no production. Maybe there is a time, past and present and the future, and so forth. Our mind is trained that survival mode that we can find different way to survive. I mean, physically we can have a lot of ability to manipulate things, and same way in our mind is also adapted to to protect us. So in order to our thought flow continuously, we need to think something. Yeah, once we stop, there's no birth, or maybe there's a death, and so we can hear every angle is blocked or discarded. Then maybe certain point or one point, then we are become sort of hopeless to surrender ourselves to, yeah, now I have no choice, but I need to give up my wonderful thoughts, plans, and that future plans are very, very important for humans. As soon as babies are born, parents already decided that going to send them to college and so forth. So we have a very good plan and a very good survival modes, but here sort of destroying that kind of value and everything. So we see, if you are not really comfortable with this, then it's a little bit difficult to keep going. But boring is our main practice, so hold on, yeah. Since the true nature of phenomena is equalness, once the true nature of phenomena should be singular, its nature is truth. There's only one truth. We cannot have many truths. But English is a little bit difficult. People often say there's many truths. Yeah. But here means, truth means there's no other truth. Truth should be only one, only single truth. And English language, of course, is a little bit different than what Sanskrit and Tibetan. Once it is single, then only oneness, it should be equal. There's no comparison, what is better and what's worse. And similarly, when what we see, there is good and bad, there's positive and negative, and there's daylight and night, and so forth. These are not, these are just appearance, sometimes expression, what we call. It's not what it is. So that's why it's not talking about the surface of appearance, but it's talking about the nature. There's not a single thing that does not abide within the expanse of the equality. So earlier we are talking about this expanse, or yin or long in the Tibetan. here is long. Long means inside this realm of equalness. Nothing can skip from that. Even this is a little bit difficult, but maybe better to understand that samsara and nirvana arise from the ground while they are rising, but they never skip from that ground. So that's the main teaching. And there's a single thing that does not abide within expanse, means within that ground. So no matter what we do in a samsara, it doesn't really affect our nature, because nature is indestructible, it's permanent and unborn, unconditioned, not coming, not going. Yeah, that's why we cannot add qualities in our nature. If we can add some qualities on our nature, means that may disappear. We also can remove that too. Yeah, so that's not reliable. The scope of a waking mind is a single state of evenness in which everything is equal. We have this nature of all phenomena, expanse of that equalness, and our waking mind. So these are talking about only one thing, our mind nature. And then, since it is unborn, so it is our mind nature, and infinite evenness so vast that it is equal to space, the scope of equalness is without interruption. No matter what happened in a samsara, maybe first our galaxy formed and how violent kind of creation occur, or these small things we think about, wars happening, everyone's sort of try to destroy others and so forth, but these things not really affecting any of our nature. Our natures remain in the same way. The same thing as we can see cloud gathering in the sky, and especially in Florida, we have thunder and lightning and so forth, but the space or sky is doesn't really matter what's how loud it is, but it doesn't affect. And now we have next one. Sondro chome kuncha darve zon dengwo wa me yalong yong chome kunshong jimi choku zon menjo lendro ren chin zon non sin kurnde ya zo chamje. So maybe someone think why I chant like this, some make it funny. But this is how I chant sometimes these texts. And Batu Rinpoche, if you know, Batu Rinpoche is a famous Lama who wrote this the word of my perfect teacher. If you look at his praising this particular text, it's you can read quietly, or you can read loudly, or you can read with melody, or you can read with any other way. So this doesn't matter. And of course, It doesn't matter in Tibetan or English or however you chant. Yes.
Just to let people know, if they're interested in that phrase, we have it available here. This text by
Thank you.
So James said that we have available, do we have digital copies we could share? I think it's on Lotsawa House too, right?
It's on Lotsawa House.
Yeah, the praise that Khenpo was just referring to, James mentioned that it's also available in here at the shrine, here at Drungar, and also we can send it to you guys online too. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes read that text to make ourselves feel better. Yeah, yes, I'm really working something that's important. And of course, this text is very important, and also many lamas think this is important. I don't know fully why, but so I trust them to read. So this text, one important thing, this good things, this text is you can read this text as a practice manual, or this text as philosophical treatise, or this text as pit instruction, or this text as a direct introduction to the Rigpa. Or either way, these texts you can settle in these texts to understand. That's why it's not just someone can teach once and then you don't have to deal with these texts anymore. Kind of repetition and boring. But these texts, the more you read and more you familiarize, then it will give some feedbacks or insights, and also what reinforce what we call positive feedback.
It's like positive feedback or reinforcement.
Yeah, so that's these texts do. And also in the modern days, the people care about depression and stress and a lot of mental challenges. According to Patrul Rinpoche, if you are so happy, you want to throw all the money to party and so forth, and you cannot contain your excitement, then if you read these texts, you will become mellow and settle down, and then you can make plans and what I should do next year and so forth. You will come up some good plans. No, that's a joke, but anyway, you become, you will be settled in some sense. If you are depressed, you don't want to talk about friends and so forth, then if you read these texts, it's kind of feel better and your mood would change according to Patrul Rinpoche. And then others, I already mentioned that these texts is everything. If you want to know Buddhist philosophy, this is the text. If you want to know your mind nature and you also want to recognize it, that is also these texts. So I don't want to repeat myself to say, someone says that, yeah, it's better than what I say, this is important.
It's a good story. Okay, so English.
Okay, yeah.
Therefore, the fortress of infinite pervasiveness is spontaneously present and beyond extremes. The fortress of the spacious and timeless expanse has no division into higher and lower or in between. The fortress of unborn Dharmakaya encompasses everything impartially. The fortress of the precious secret is unchanging and spontaneously present. The universe of appearances and possibilities, whether of samsara or nirvana, is perfect as the timeless fortress of a single state of equalness.
Yeah, here again, these anything that we worry about, even in the East, in the Buddhist teaching, we have a birth is also suffering, but that, I don't know, in the West, we think about this way or not. But then aging, sickness, and death, of course, I think that's a universal thing. And these are unsecure things what we have. And then, of course, now modern days, we need to think about losing jobs and so forth. Those are unsecure things due to we rely on cause and conditions. We don't do something, then something not happens. And children don't send to college, will not get good jobs, and so forth. These kind of ideas, this concept, and this making samsara is kind of stable place that livable, comfortably livable samsara, what we want to create it. But of course, that is mainly our delusional thinking. It's nothing, it's safe. But here, this used as a fortress. The fortress means it's protected and safe. In the modern days, every people you don't like need to put in a prison, and then you think that's much more safe, but it's not truth, yeah. But here is using as fortress is a metaphor or example to saying what is safe place, what is the protected place, what is we should be. But the mainly message is we are already in here, in this fortress. So we never left from this fortress. So all we have concern is just our delusion. Once we have this delusion, then there's no safe place. But we are already in a safe place. Therefore, the fortress of infinite pervasiveness is spontaneously present and beyond extremes. Extremes means birth, death, sickness, or coming and going. Anything, the conditional things that talking about. The fortress of the spacious and the timeless expanse has no division into higher, lower, in between, means our mind nature. It's the realm of Dharmadhatu that has no higher and lower. But there's no samsara and nirvana existing in our nature. The fortress of the precious secret is unchanging and spontaneously present. The universe of appearances and possibilities, whether of samsara and nirvana, is perfect as the timeless fortress of the single state of evenness. So either we are in a samsara or nirvana, we are still in this safe place. We can treat ourselves or reinforce ourselves to remind us that we are safe. We don't need to build many things to make ourselves, but we are safe. One more. Chome gun jab darwe saye lan kundiri me shangjo semjengar chuni long yon zemo lento shen ma yi rong yin chok ye yong wei rim zur char win ju go shen de yong.
On this infinite foundation, extending everywhere impartially, the stronghold of awakened mind does not distinguish between samsara and nirvana. Its imposing and lofty summit is the spacious expanse that is the true nature of phenomena. At the very center of the panorama of this uncreated nature, the entranceway that frees one from developmental effort is wide open.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the Longchenpa, the author of these texts, is most famous, one of most famous yogi. If you understand, yogi means practitioner and also scholar. So in Tibet in the 14th century, and these days, his collection texts, now we have book form that has 26 volumes. And this is one root text, and it has also commentary if you have time and want to see more details of detail or more explanation on this teaching, then you can look at the commentary, which is also in English. I think it's called, now I don't remember exactly, maybe you can.
Treasury of spiritual
Okay, yeah. So that would be another project you can read. It's helpful sometimes, a concept, but the commentary doesn't go with word by word explanation. It's more supporting citations from different scriptures or tantras or sutras. That's the main of that. And he's the author or composer is very skillful, and also his writings are very beautiful. So, and also involves a lot of poetic language in these particular texts. It's not only the teaching that give complicated concept or profound meanings, but also the language itself is very poetic. If you read in Tibetan, I also heard Richie Bamram's translation. His English is also very poetic, so maybe that helps you to motivate you to read this text somehow, and particularly these appearances and possibilities. some of our friends like that particular terms, and you can choose in that way. And on this infinite foundation, expanding everywhere impartially. So what we think our mind means trapped it in our body, and that has no ability to pervade. As the samsara individuals, we have our sufferings, only our individual suffering. So we think there's no universally share.
Bueno, pues para bajarla ya fue tu aventura propia.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's kind of individual voice. As we think only isolated kind of events. But here, our mind nature is not trapped in our body. Is without boundary. Is our mind nature is mind nature of every being, every Buddha, every tree, every water, or every even nuclear bombs, and our mind nature so pervade. It's there's no good or bad things. The good and bad is how you look at it and how you treat it, rather than what it is. So these expanding everywhere impartially, the stronghold of a working mind, the bodhicitta or rigpa or mind nature, does not distinguish between samsara and nirvana. It's not discriminating things. People even think there are discriminations happening in this world, but rigpa itself has no discrimination. It imposing a lofty summit now is metaphor. It is spacious expanse that is the true nature of phenomena. At the very center of panorama of this uncreated nature, we use as uncreated and unborn and unproduced. So nature is always like that. The entrance way that frees one from developmental effort is wide open. So once our nature is effortless, means then our Dzogchen practices also should be effortless. Effort makes more resistant rather than more advanced to the nature. If I'm keep talking, and is that a good thing, or you have some questions that want to challenge me? Nonsense things you can say. You can yell at me, but not too loud, because there's many people online. It's not that good for.
Thank you. No challenge, Khenpo, but that last sentence you just said, I wasn't sure I understood. You said effortful practice makes more resistance?
Yeah, I meant.
Rather than, did you say advancing to the nature of mind?
Advancing to understand, I mean, my English, you can see how broke it is. If you have two forces, if one force, now my completely zero understanding of the science, but sounds there is two force. If you push back and forth, seems there is would have resistance somehow, yeah. And I'm saying, if our nature is already effortless and already uncontrived and unconditional, then if our practices become effortful, that is not only arbitrary, but more forceful for the manipulating. So that would have resistance against that force, and that resistance pushed us away from the center or from the nature of mind, or realizing the true nature. Is that, if you have better English, you can articulate well.
Well, first I'm trying to understand. So it sounds like you're saying, when you say, could you clarify what you mean by effortful? Like if the practice becomes effortful, do you mean if the practice becomes difficult, or if you're suffering in the practice?
Do anything.
Or do you just mean the effort of any practice whatsoever?
Yeah, the last one. Mm. Yes, please.
Could you please talk a bit more about the value of patience? Patience, why patience is so important and fundamental, and perhaps how it might relate to anger or frustration.
Yeah, patience is in the Mahayana text, there is no better practice than patience, and there is no worse kind of bad karma, worse than anger. So somehow the patience is antidote on the anger or hatred, mainly we call hatred. And patience in a Tibetan, we have soba is and English is a little bit maybe different. I don't know. Please help me. Is the Tibetan soba means if someone harm you, you still can tolerate, accept that. But English seems to patient is you can wait in a grocery line for 2 hours. You are still happy that you know you can buy potato chip in 2 hours later. No, I'm joking. But it's maybe language is a little bit different. I don't know. The Tibetan soba is the 37 Bodhisattva practice. If someone chopped your head, you are still happy with that person or that thing, and also you need to generate happiness with the respect to that person. So maybe in a soba seems more not extreme, or more the degree of tolerance and acceptance than just a patient.
The common way of patience is more like forbearance, waiting it out. as opposed to perhaps the change in mind state of acceptance that you're speaking to in patience with the Buddhist practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so regardless of what happens, if one accepts it, then of course, your mind state is unchanged. Your center is maintained.
Mm-hmm.
And
So I'm saying that the patience is antidote of hatred coming here, the Buddhist practice, why patience is so important in Buddhist practice. I'm saying that you can tolerate some small things, also patient, but the most extreme patience is there's really, you can not only can accept, but it's also respect comes with that. And about this Bodhisattva practice, I earlier mentioned that if someone chopped your head without any reason, any reason, you are totally innocent, but someone chopped your head, you need to respect that person as your guru. So that is the Bodhisattva practice here. If you want to hear interesting story, you can twist a little bit to say, if someone chopped my head, how I can respect that person here. So you have no head here. So that's, I don't know what Soba in patient has that, that's connotation goes with you. First, speaks directly to Dharmadhatu, to Rigpa. Can you give that to her first? Yes, first you.
So am I pronouncing it correctly? Sopa?
Soba. Yes, Soba.
Speaks directly to Dharmadhatu Rigpa, basic space. Yes?
Can you say one more?
It speaks directly, that word speaks directly to basic space of phenomena with regards to patience. The Tibetan word, Sopa?
Yes, but you know, when they categorize things, the ground or the view and the path in the meditation. So Soba is more path meditation. The Soba is one of the 6 paramitas, yeah. And of course, in Dzogchen we talk about Soba because if you can tolerate all situation, the bad situations, that if you can tolerate that is Soba. And also, I think the Samadhi prayer, it's say, when the whole 3 world systems collapse, I don't have any fear. So that kind of confidence is also, we could call Soba, but that's gained from basic space of phenomena. Because that is the actual reality. Now the Soba is meditation that, or the realization that, realizing that basic space of phenomena, Dharmadhatu. You?
There's a couple online too. So
Oh, okay.
Here and then we have a couple online.
Okay.
I have an issue with anger. That's my thing. But I've been told a lot that to get past the anger, first you have to be grateful in the situation. So I learned something from the situation, which I was able to quell my anger and then forgive the person that actually tried to kill me. Even though I don't trust that person anymore, and I'm not going to go around that person anymore, but I was able to forgive that person and move on because I was grateful for the situation and taught me a lot about myself.
Yeah, of course, then modern days we have psychologists and many other source of religious or spiritual source, and also psychology that teach us how to cope, deal with anger or hatred. There's many way can do that. But here is talking about not only here, the Tibetan Soba or the English patience is, I'm just saying, is there's a whole range of meaning rather than only one specific things here.
Khenpo, there's two questions online. One is from Yvonne and the other is from Alex. Yvonne's question is, it seems to me that this treatise is very profound, but I feel we need to practice Dzogchen meditation as well. Are we going to do that in this class moving forward?
Sure. Yeah, it's, I mean, why not? The mainly, these days everyone talk about Dzogchen meditation, and since everyone's trying, and somehow it's easy, somehow it's difficult, at least not complicated. So sit and don't move and don't think. That look at your mind, not judge what you think, or don't make plans at that moment to say what should I eat lunch, or even don't try to think either am I meditating correctly or wrongly. Those kind of should not have any judgment. I think that we can do, or individual can sit in that way. It doesn't really matter. But here I'm a little bit worried that if we practice more on meditation, then we have less time on going through these texts. Once we go through these texts, then you can decide whether you meditate or not, rather than we are sitting together, looking at other, or looking nowhere to coping. It's a little bit different. I think better to individuals can do. Yeah.
Thank you, Khenpo. So Alex's question, he says, Khenpo, can we read this text from the point of Trekchut? To me, it seems that Longchenpa is referencing Trekchut practice when he talks about effortless practice of viewing all appearances of Rigpa as pure and self-arising.
Yeah, mainly this text doesn't talk about Tukar at all. Tukar means direct transcending or direct realizing whatever we call. There's two types of practice in a particular Dzogchen, heart essence of Dzogchen practice. And Tikchu means cutting through. It seems everyone agreed, or breaking through that's used in an English translation. And Tibetan chik-chut. Chut means cut, chik means through, used as that. What we need to cut through? We need to cut through all concepts, or ideas, or plans, or mental activities. So that's need to cut through, or need to get rid of that. Not forcefully, no, that's effortlessly. And so these texts all talk about effortless, but it's a little bit difficult to really summarize these texts because until chapter 10, it's not talking about the actual meditation. It's talking about how samsara arises, how samsara abides, how samsara appears, and just it's talking about reality rather than how you think, how you sit to meditate on a chikyu. And then this poetic language and beautiful poems has different ability to triggering our mind. I don't want to say that, but need to say it because our mind needs to somehow need to wake up to see what there's different possibilities rather than every day. Oh, this is Shrine Room. This is Shrine Room. I need to practice, and if we don't change anything, then it's take longer in a samsara to enjoy samsaric things rather than there is something else we can taste. And when we come to chapter 10, then we have more things will come. Now there is some very nice verses that talk about we don't have, everyone has text here. You have, yeah. Okay, today maybe we can. What's chapter 10 page number? Chapter 10?
105.
105. Okay. My book doesn't have.
Oh, actually, no, it's before that. That's where it ends. Let me find where it begins. Is it that far back? Okay.
79?
Yeah, the bottom of 79. Yeah.
Okay. Be patient. And chapter page 81, very beginning, it say, without sense objects being blocked or mind being ratified. If this is no strain from the natural state of spontaneous equalness, you arrive at the enlightened intent of supreme spacious Samantabhadra. So once you sense objects should not blocked. You cannot just block or what appears, what hears, what smells. But the mind, you should not also ratify or mind thinking, this is my mind, this is my good mind, this is my patient mind, this is my Rigpa, and so forth. And then without rising and subsiding of thoughts, there is naturally limpid, pristine state, like the unwavering evenness of the limpid ocean, free of the occurrences of or involvement in the thoughts, free of hope and fear. You abide within the state of naturally occurring timeless awareness, the true nature of which is profoundly lucid, and or so forth. And there is here. You can read maybe this chapter sometime and look at, see what needs to do in meditation. I also like this one, the page 95, middle paragraph. Since nothing is ratified or discarded, there is none of an attention or laxity of the compulsive mind. The unrestricted state of natural settling, just as it is ensured as a matter of course, and so forth. On the last paragraph too, yeah. If you maintain meditation, if you maintain an undistracted state within uncontrived expanse of being, even engaging thoughts concerning sense objects within the scope of the true nature of them. If you can settle your mind in this state, then anything proliferation of things just evaporates in there. So you don't need to worry about, to care about. And those are we will be here someday. And
Khenpo, there was another request from someone, Choying Lama, who's asking about the lung. I know we had it here at one point, but will there be other opportunities for people who have yet to get the lung to receive the lung?
Yes, but maybe stay for a while, and then we decide if you really want to bore your life, then I can give long at that time. But now sometimes people want very fast, and the fun, boring part is they don't want. That's just the patient is. Once we have a tremendous patient on that, then of course we are over time.
Verse by verse, your singing is lung, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
As you go verse by verse through this.
Yeah, but I'm sure people have a lot of things, important things to take care, and I'm sure cannot attend every teaching. And yes, at a certain point, I can read. I read few times already, I think. Yeah. Okay. Sorry for keeping you here Sundays, and okay, and next week we will resume here, and if you have questions, please ask or discuss or comments, whatever you feel, and we dedicate our merit.
Yes, on page 24, bottom, in the prayer book. By the virtues collected into 3 times by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Trikungpa Ratnashri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara.
Okay, thank you.
Khenpo.
Take care. Enjoy the rest of the Sunday, and there's more
to do.
Thank you, Khenpo.
Thank you. I see many of you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Khenpo. Thank you so much. We love you.
Thank you. Okay. I'm staying.
Right, exactly. This is yeah, I did my number before. I was just doing it, and I ran, took a shower, right, and getting here. Yeah, so this is part of the well, it is. It is. It's slightly different, yeah, but you know, people, you'll hear it again and again.
I don't have magic. Not this week. So everybody, if you'd like to, Khenpo's going to go out to lunch with a few Sangha members. If you'd like to join, feel free. Everyone is welcome to go out to lunch. I'm not sure where we're going. We should probably figure that out. So just follow Khenpo, follow Beverly and Gillian. What do you mean?
Didn't you say Khenpo was going out to lunch?
That's the essence of Buddha. Talk about Buddha and so on. But it's going to sound like I just don't have it. You know, it's just keep saying okay from a different person. But it's all, you know, I was reading one of sometime 2007. Right.